Totally going to flip how we understand human perception, reality, and emotional survival. We're going to explore how the brain actually processes the world around us, and more importantly, how our past experiences, especially traumatic ones, literally construct the emotional reality we live in every single day. So ask yourself this: do you actually react to reality? I mean, most of us just assume we're passively experiencing the world, right? Like a friend's face changes expression, our senses register it, and then our brain decides how to feel. But modern neuroscience reveals something much stranger and honestly much more intimate about human perception. Well, get ready for a massive paradigm shift. The old traditional view assumed reality happens, your senses pick it up, your brain processes it, and boom, an emotion pops out. But the new neuroscience, it changes everything. The brain does not merely react to reality, it predicts it first. Before conscious awareness even forms, your nervous system is already generating expectations about what's happening and whether you're safe or in danger. And this perfectly explains something we see literally all the time. Think about two people in the exact same situation, say a suddenly quiet room, but they're living in entirely different emotional realities. Person A interprets that silence as incredibly peaceful. Person B, they experience that exact same silence as absolutely terrifying. These aren't just personality quirks. These are entirely different predictive models operating deep inside their nervous systems. To really wrap our heads around this, we've got to talk about predictive processing. This was pioneered by neuroscientists like Karl Friston, Andy Clark, and Anil Seth. Picture your brain for a second. It's sealed inside a pitch-black skull. It never actually touches the outside world. It has to rely entirely on incomplete electrical and chemical signals. So to survive, it acts like a giant prediction machine. It relies heavily on prior experience to rapidly construct hypotheses about what's happening outside, rather than building reality from scratch every single second. But hey, what happens when the brain gets it wrong, when its guess is just off? That brings us to what's called a prediction error. When reality fails to match the brain's expectations, your nervous system notices the discrepancy and actually updates its internal model. And under ideal conditions, this updating process is exactly what allows us to adapt, to grow, and to learn efficiently from our environment. It means your brain actually arrives before the moment fully unfolds. Let that sink in for a second. Your nervous system is continuously answering the question of what emotional state you should prepare for, based almost entirely on your past. In a very real sense, your past becomes a prediction about your future. So what happens when this prediction machine is trained in an environment of chronic danger? Well, that's when trauma hijacks prediction. Because when trauma enters the picture, things get complicated. It severely distorts our predictions. If an environment is chronically unsafe, the brain literally learns that constantly anticipating danger is the best way to survive. Trauma produces these rigid, high-precision beliefs. This means that years later, a completely safe relationship still feels threatening. Rest feels unsafe. In fact, peace itself can become deeply dysregulating because the nervous system is anxiously searching for the chaos it assumes must eventually arrive. Since perception is shaped by expectation, your nervous system is jumping to conclusions just to protect you. So an objectively safe scenario, like a slightly distracted expression from your partner, gets filled with ominous emotional meaning before you even realize it's happening. You don't just see a distracted partner, you see impending rejection. The body is essentially screaming, "I know how this story ends," even when the present reality is entirely different. Moving on to how we construct emotion. This brings us to the actual mechanics of our feelings. Lisa Feldman Barrett's theory of constructed emotion shows us that emotions aren't just these fixed biological reflexes. They are actively constructed through a process called interoceptive inference. See, our brain is continuously interpreting raw internal bodily data, a racing heart, muscle tension, shallow breathing. But here is the kicker. Those physical sensations are totally ambiguous. The brain has to guess what they mean. Think about a racing heart. It can mean so many things, right? It could be excitement, fear, shame, attraction, or just anticipation. The body activates first, and then the brain predicts whether you are experiencing fear or excitement based entirely on your earlier survival learning. This is exactly why a trauma survivor might suddenly feel terrified during a mundane argument over the dishes. Their brain predicts that this bodily activation means mortal danger. Which leads us to a really important realization. Feelings are not facts.
This is absolutely crucial for anyone navigating complex relationships. Your feelings, they're incredibly real, but they aren't always accurate facts about the present moment. Take a genuine sense of profound shame or abandonment. The feeling is intensely real, but the reality might simply be getting a "we need to talk" text or receiving some mild, constructive feedback at work. The nervous system is basically projecting an outdated emotional map onto the present, trying to prevent pain before it even arrives. And honestly, this is probably the most compassionate takeaway from this whole explainer. When you or someone you love has an outsized reaction to a small event, the nervous system isn't lying. It's not being dramatic, irrational, or broken. It's predicting. It's simply relying on protective predictions that have just become outdated. Now let's talk about rewiring the nervous system.
The good news? We are definitely not stuck with these outdated models forever. Even though survival systems prioritize caution, we can absolutely rewire things. Neurologically, this healing requires slow, repeated lived experiences. You have to introduce safe experiences that contradict older expectations. This generates a brand new prediction error. Your brain braces for danger but encounters safety instead. Over time, this gradually proves to the body that disagreement doesn't equal abandonment, and that rest is in fact totally survivable. Because, as the source material makes beautifully clear, the real tragedy isn't that your nervous system learned these intense predictions. The tragedy is that it learned them in environments where expecting danger once made perfect sense. Your reactions are just your brain's attempt to protect your future, using information from your past. It was quite literally just doing its job to keep you alive. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to chew on in your own life and relationships. Look around your current environment, notice your bodily sensations, and ask yourself, what is your nervous system predicting right now? Is it responding to the present moment, or is it trying to protect you from a past that just isn't here anymore? Think on that, and maybe use this knowledge to bring a little more compassion to yourself and the people around you.
Thank you for watching. If something in this resonated with you, then you're already closer than you think. If you're ready to go deeper, there's a link below to my book, The Survival Self: How Childhood Adaptation Becomes Adult Identity, and How to Finally Live Beyond It. This isn't theory, it's a framework you can actually use. Tap the link below and step into it.